Hello Facebook land!
Hello!
We're back for another edition of our 8-week challenge where we look at the most common challenges people face in their relationship, and tonight is lack of intimacy.
So while Facebook is building an audience, we're just going to share this video on our page. Hi,
Hey,
Nins.
sup Nins? Hello again.
So I'm just going to share this on my page. See?
Mine hasn't come up.
Oh, mine has.
Is it?
Yeah. Yep.
Might just have to be you. I'll share it from this.
Yeah, just press the share. Done.
Hey,
Easy peasy.
Japanesey.
Oh, we love you, Nins.
Oh.
She said she loves us both.
Mwah.
Give Jules and the kitties a kiss for us, please.
Yeah.
We miss you guys too. So, lack of intimacy.
I think kind of just want to define a little bit about what intimacy is, because I think I see, I used to confuse this a lot, and I see a lot of people get intimacy confused with sex. And when we say intimacy, that's not the only thing we're talking about. Because even like I had a look, I typed into Google lack of intimacy, and it was all like things to do with sex. So our world has really merged those two, intimacy and sex. But really, like the way we really want to share it, there's both ways. But an important way to see intimacy is, when you break it down, is like into me see. So it's like letting people see into you.
Yeah.
And this is the power of intimacy, is when we allow someone to see into us.
Yeah.
And when we don't have intimacy, there's like the wall. There's like a
wall.
barrier. There's something in the way of that intimacy. And that also affects sex and all those things. And it starts with a lack of intimacy.
And I think this is something that we want to speak from our own experience. You know, both of us coming into this relationship, we really both got to learn what true intimacy was, because we both had an understanding that intimacy was actually about sex, which a lot of people might have that understanding of. But once we got into this relationship, we really got to see, hi Neve.
Hey Neve.
We really got to see what true intimacy is.
Yeah, and the power of true intimacy, and also how that gets in the way of so many things, of having true connection and being connected and truly honouring that intimacy within the relationship. And we see couples really struggling when they feel like if we're not having sex, there's no intimacy there. And they get those two confused, whether it's like, you know, people with kids or family, or they have very busy lifestyles, and sometimes sex can be very difficult or gets put on a back burner or whatever reason, and then couples really go, we're losing intimacy, and they get those two confused, where we found, like in our busy times, we always make time for intimacy, where it can be the simplest thing. It's like just being present, being connected, you know, sharing, and things like that. So intimacy can be created in every moment, and it doesn't have to be sexual.
And so, like, maybe we should touch on like where we get this idea of intimacy being sex. And I think, like, for me, definitely growing up, like, I think the porn industry has really, you know, just in terms of sex and how that is and how we perceive it to be, porn has played a huge role in my perception of what intimacy is and how and what sex should look like and how it should be, which really doesn't work when you get into a relationship. It's like, you know, you have to live up to certain expectations, and it just hinders you more than anything, because it's unrealistic. It's not real. That's not real intimacy.
Yeah, and especially with the growing industry right now. And it's funny, it's like, you ask someone, do you watch porn? Like, no, not me. But it's like the biggest thing that's going around. And it's like, yeah, of course not you. Right? It's there, it's in the forefront. And it definitely has a big impact on relationship, sex, and intimacy. And especially as a man, for me, I'm going to talk from my experience and my own experiences as a man and porn and things like that. And it's definitely, I think, most men, I would say, have either a small addiction or are addicted to porn. And that has a big effect on your intimacy with your partner. Because I know that from myself, and it's just kind of like, even like as I'm talking about, I'm noticed like there's shame or there's guilt around it, or it's like there's this heaviness around porn, or and it's not supposed to be that way. Like, when I'm not here to say porn is bad or it's wrong, but I'm just talking from an experience as when I do like use porn or masturbate to get rid of tension or stress or whatever, it creates for me what I've noticed as I started to become more aware of my body, because I didn't realize this before. It's kind of just a normal thing. I was never really aware of the impact that it had on me, of just releasing whenever I felt stress or some sort of emotion, or I was bored, whatever that was. Like, I really noticed as a man, now, the more I'm connecting to myself and noticing my emotions and my feelings, and when I'm grounded and when I'm connected, and when I notice there's some feelings that I don't want to deal with, or there's some emotion, or I'm bored, I notice that I'd want to release. And this is what we do as men. We just want to release that tension. It's like and what I noticed for myself is I became more disconnected with Annalie when I would release, because that's kind of, they talk about, not like masterful at this, guru in any field, but just from my own experience, like that, it's that chi, it's that energy field, it's what we connect to, and it's our creative energy. And when we just release it willy-nilly, we lose our creativity.
Sorry, you said willy-nilly, so...
No pun intended. Sup, Tom? Hey, Ben. No pun intended. But really, like, when we just release ourselves, we lose connection to who we are, to that vital creative energy and that vitality. And I noticed when I do that, like, I'd get flat. Like, I just noticed my energy would go down. And I'd lose this creativity and this connection with Annalie. And when I don't, like, when I hold off, and then if we don't have sex for a while, like, I noticed there's this fire, there's this energy within me, there's this and
I feel like I've been claimed.
Yes.
As a woman, because the woman wants to be claimed, by their partner, to be chosen. And, I definitely noticed the difference of when he has released. There isn't that energetic pull or that, but when he has held off and he has all that energy within him, you can feel that magnetism.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like this pull, and you just can't explain it. But
yeah, and that's something I've never really noticed, and it's something I'm starting to come more and more into awareness of when I don't release that power and that. And I've heard this before, and I haven't done much research, but just from my own experience, how different those two worlds are. I'm really committing myself more and more, dealing more with my emotions, and that builds connection and intimacy with me and Annalie. And I see that for a lot of men that aren't aware, and they're just unconscious, because it's just such a natural thing for most men, is just to do that because that's what we're raised and it's a normal thing. But we don't realize the impacts of, as a man, how that impacts our creative energy and our flow and connecting to our woman and claiming her, because it's like we become leaky. Again, no pun intended. But we become leaky with our energy. And when we're in a relationship, once we start, and that's the same thing when we start. And I know as a man, we have that craving and wanting to be free, and we have we look around and all that sort of stuff at other women. It's just like a natural man's essence, or it's ingrained in them. But it's like how depth we go into in becoming leaky with our energies and where we take it that creates lack of intimacy. So yeah, I just kind of want to touch on that point as a man and how that affects me in connecting with Annalie and creating intimacy with Annalie and the power that has for me.
That was very brave of you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. I mean, hopefully someone needed to hear that. And yeah.
Yeah. So we've spoken about sex and how we can confuse intimacy with sex.
Yeah.
But to create real intimacy, there needs to be a safe space.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a safe space for both people to be able to share all of themselves. And we've really come to experience this, that the more that we can come into that, then sex becomes more intimate because there is that safe space that we are accepted for who we are, and we can actually fully share everything that we desire, everything, all our dreams and all of that sort of stuff in the context of intimacy without sex.
Yeah.
Which just adds to, when you are intimate, having sex, it actually enhances everything. Like, I know as a woman, in my experience, when there's not that emotional connection with your man, it becomes harder for a woman to be able to be totally open when having sex, because there isn't that emotional connection. Like, women crave that emotional connection, whereas the man is totally opposite, right?
Yeah, but a man wants like a woman to be open.
Like, but in order to be open,
they need to feel safe and be claimed by the man, so then they can be open. So it's like, this is why it's so important for both men and women to do this work, because Annalie cannot open and be willing
to let him in,
to truly let me in, if she doesn't feel safe. And I've had, heard many women say that they can't orgasm, and it's because they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe enough to truly let go. And truly, and I know that from experience, also not as a woman from experience, but I mean as a man, when we get into our head and it's like becomes this robotic, this sex just becomes robotic, and it's not flowy.
It's the whole porn thing, and we've both experienced this where you're in your head and you're thinking, am I doing it right? Is he getting pleasure? Is she getting pleasure? Is this the way they do it on the videos? It's just this constant thing that you're in your head. But sex is meant to be a very spiritual experience, where you can fully be yourself.
Yeah, and that's that safety again, right? So if we can feel safe, have intimacy outside of sex, where we can connect and talk about things, and that's how intimacy gets created, through safety, when we can share our dreams, when we can share our fears, we can share things that most, deepest, darkest fears with each other, and we create that safety within that container, within this relationship. Then when that intimacy shows up in the bedroom, like, we can truly connect and we can truly be, and we can get out of our heads and really feel each other and have that synergy. And when Annalie feels safe, she can open, and when I haven't, released and done all this, I can fully claim her and I can fully own her in that moment as a man, and it just creates magic in the bedroom. And it's so powerful, and it's so important to do, because if we're not doing that, it becomes this robotic
it becomes a chore.
Yes.
Like, I've definitely experienced that, not with you, but
and I'm sure
in
you
past
have
relationships.
I'm sure you
like,
have, do you know what I mean?
That it's a chore.
Yeah.
That we better just do it because we haven't done it for a while. And but when you can create that intimacy, it just comes naturally.
Yeah. And it's also, this is not always like it has to be candles and this romantic thing, and it's always has to be this blissful thing. It can also be like let's get in, and it's passionate and it's fiery and it's in and out, and that's also part of it. But there needs to be that safety for that to show up, for the woman to feel safe to just go there, to just take herself there. And it's same for the man. It's
same for the men.
To be willing to just go there, to really release and like just be wild and free with who we are. But if we can't be that outside their bedroom, to be wild and free and connect and share, it's very hard to do that in a bedroom. So it affects your sexual relationships, and then that affects intimacy, and it all kind of intertwines and connects with one another. And it's so important for both men and women to do the work.
Yeah.
To create this intimacy.
And create the space.
Yes, and create the space.
Yeah.
For intimacy to show up.
Exactly. And it is daring to share with
Yes.
each other, and having the courage to really speak what's in your heart. And I know, like, for some people that's a really hard concept to grasp because we're so taught to be in the mind.
Yeah.
But both Roman and I have come from relationships or past where we have been in the mind, and then coming into this relationship where we've both been able to come from the heart it's totally on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's so heart-opening and beautiful and something to be celebrated,
Yeah, definitely. So I just kind of went...
You went somewhere else.
I went in my head, actually, talking about head.
There
Talking
you go.
about heart, I just kind of went in my head and thinking of like, what's the next thing? What do we say?
That's it.
So...
Trust your heart. That's the lesson.
Yes. But is there anything else that was fucking awkward, Jesus.
No, I think we've actually covered everything that we wanted to cover.
Yeah.
With intimacy. It's just the importance of it. And it's very easy to not make it a priority.
Yeah.
But just from our experience, we've had times where we haven't made it a priority.
Yeah.
And we definitely feel the difference in our connection. And I know as a woman, for me, like, I long for that connection with my man. Like, I long to feel that intimacy and that connection and emotional connection with my man. So I feel like it's so important for couples to really make it a priority in their life or a practice in their life where, they sit down and just share with each other. Make that time to create intimacy.
Yeah. And also just wanted to quickly touch upon like creating the space and intimacy, and also, like I said, as a man, it's a creation process, and sex can be that. It's like where we create and birth new ideas, and through sex, and then something I'm not fully experienced about, but notice when we're truly connected and there's a different aspect into having that intimacy and being in the bedroom, and there's like something else shows up in the bedroom when we can create together and kind of intertwine our energies, and it can be so powerful into creating, and it can be a very powerful spiritual practice. And yeah, there's definitely a lot more for us to dive into and learn about, because I think it's it's something that's very powerful, and I think we're just scratching the surface of any of this. And I think this is the exciting part of being on this journey as a conscious couple, that there's constantly we're diving deeper and deeper into who we are as individuals and as couple. To see how much we can grow and create intimacy and sexual polarity, and how to go much more deeper in who we are as spiritual beings.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Oh, thank you. I don't know where that came from.
I know.
Thanks.
So I guess that's all that we have to share tonight.
Yeah.
If you resonate with this, if you've got questions about this, Let us know, comment, like the video if you feel like this would resonate with someone, tag or share it. But we'll be back next week again. It'll be week 7, I think.
Yeah,
week 7.
Done. 2 more weeks.
And we'll be looking at lack of growth, and we'll post on our page when we'll be on live.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you guys next week.
So funny, your mum's like just going love
I
hearty.
know, smashing the heart. Love
Thanks,
you too,
Nina.
Mum. She's just smash the hearts.
All right, guys. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.